in the straight versus spline, or none. I don't know why you would do an annotation with none. So the whole reason for a multi-leader is to have the arrow that you're pointing the text to, otherwise you just do text. Here you can change the color again. You can change the line type, line weight, blah, blah, blah. All of that I like to control in the layers. That's just me. If you want to do it per style, you could do that too. The arrowheads, you have a series of arrowheads. The most common is just the first one, the close filled. I see some people use like the right angle. Looks a little different. I mean, it's totally up to you. The dot, kind of another common one that's used a lot. The size, the break size. The size, this is going to control the arrow size of the arrowhead. So if I go to like 2, you'll see a jump. Or get smaller. That's weird. The break size should control this dimension here. Why is it not changing though? Interesting. Set it to 0.125 anyways. We want it to default to 1/8 of an inch. The leader structure in here, so you could set it to maximum leader points. So what that means is the amount of clicks that you could do, right? It defaults to 2, so it's click, click, and then it's going to be text. That's pretty common. If you want to use more, you could up it, or you could simply uncheck the box, and you could click, 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 and have like a big zigzag line to get to your text. The first segment angle, you could set here, and that'll basically set this angle automatically. I like to leave it as off just so that if I have some text strings that have to have a steeper angle, because I got a series of 42 different annotations sometimes. The second angle will do the second click. So automatically include the landing. So you can see the landing is here. We want to leave it on, but the landing is this line here. The distance. So if you take it off, what it'll do, I think you could actually pull out the string to make it long, but we want to leave it as like a standard. So we'll just do it as 1/8 of an inch for now. Here, where you could, this is similar to fit in the dimension styles. Is fit here, so you can specify the scale. For now, we'll just leave it at 1. Now in here, you could do it 3 different ways. You could do M text, which is multi-line text. That's what I like. It's a lot easier to change on the fly. If you change it to a block, then you gotta go edit the block, do all that stuff. The text options, this is just gonna be your different text stuff. So right now we don't have any text styles. We just have the standard one. But you could add, like I said, various different types of text styles in there. Keep horizontal. That's just going to keep this reading left to right, which you pretty much want. You could modify it and rotate it and do all that kind of stuff if you wanted to. So in here, this would be the text color. So you could have the leader be one color, the text be another if you want. The text height, that's the height of the physical text. And then the leader connection, horizontal versus vertical. So you can see if I switch it, it's actually going to put it smack in the middle, or I could put it over and under. You could modify it different ways. For now, let's just leave it as the horizontal. So this is where you would modify your text. And like I said, once we get more into some of the annotation stuff a lot further, you'll see that we could put different styles of dimensioning, different styles of multi-leader, and really it's going to be based on like the scale of your drawing. So if you have an 1/8 inch scale or 1/4 inch scale drawing, or if you're in engineering, it's 1 to 100, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, etc., etc., etc. So think it's up here somewhere. It was. I guess not. Oh. Okay. So we'll go ahead and close. And then if I want to do a leader, I'm just going to go ahead, hit leader. Just going to pick. And then I'm just going to type the word door, because that's a door. So I'll do it one more time. It's just here, leader. And you can just pick anywhere on the door. Pick, and you can see that it's limiting me to just 2 picks because that's what we have set. So I can type in door. You could enter door, 36-inch wide. So you could do multi-line text, and you can see so that it's still part of one. If you don't actually like the placement of it, you could use this node right here at the top of the text to move it, right? Or you could use this node here to move it around too. Got that? You could actually drag it out longer too if you needed to with the arrow. You could explode it. If you explode it, it will explode the arrow and the line and everything separate. So you don't necessarily need to explode it. If you want to edit the text, it's just like regular text. You just double click on it, or up here in the text, the edit text, or was that under modify, huh? So you could go ahead and you could edit the text if you want. You can change the layer, put on dimension. You could use all kinds of different commands. You could stretch it. You could move it around. You could move the whole thing. I think you can mirror it. You should do okay. So it's essentially a new, like just another object that you can still do all kinds of different modifications to. If I wanted to add a leader to it, the second drop down here. So if I click that, and let's say for instance I had another door up here, I could simply add it so I only have one text that's showing both. And let's say I deleted that guy, you simply come in here and you delete. So to delete it, you do have to click the actual leader object once and then click the leader that you want to get rid of. So you have to click it twice, essentially. Cool. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't want that one. If I have 2 leaders like this, right, and I type window, and I want to match the properties because I want them to be the same. And in kind of regular drawings, usually you want your annotations, all lined up. So there's a pretty cool function in here to align. So if I pick this one and then that one, and then I pick that one again, and then if I have F8 on, it'll actually take it so that they actually line up together. Cool or not cool?
Can you align again?
It's the 3rd command down.
Oh.
So if we go back, something like that, you hit align. So I'm going to do this way this time. So I have F8 works better when you have it on. So you got to select what you want to align, and then select the one that you want it to align to. So if you collect them, you select the ones you want to select. Why is it not working? Select multi. Yeah, I want to select that one. I should be able to space them all evenly, like if they're not spaced. Why is that filtered? There's a way that you could have them so that they're spaced like evenly if you have a series of 10 or 15 of them. Annotate probably here for multi-leader leaders. Okay. So that's kind of a rundown.
So I'm trying to align it, but it keeps aligning to the wrong one.
So when you align it here, right? You pick both of them. Then you want to pick the one you want to align to. Yeah, it matters which one you pick. After you select all of them, then you pick that one. So let's just look at annotation kind of in a deeper sense. If I'm gonna get rid of all these guys here. So we're gonna move over to the annotate tab now because we have a lot more buttons to choose from over here. Okay, so the annotate tab is the third one over. As you can see, it still has the multi-text, dimension, has a new feature here, center line or center marks, which you may or may not need in Project 1. You have multi-leaders, tables, wipeouts, blah, blah, blah. So I have a bunch of different stuff there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some dimensions. So the first one I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to redimension this. So I dimension that once, and then I dimension this one here. But instead of going and doing individual dimensions again, I'm going to simply hit continue. So it's actually going to give me, and they are already lined up. So that's just another way to do the dimension, especially when you have like a string like we did, the door and the window. It's just a little faster way than actually having to go back linear click, linear click, linear click. Then the other one that you could use here is the baseline. So here, let's do this. If I dimension this one here, so what baseline is going to do is it's going to reference the last dimension line that I did, where the start of the last. So I picked left to right this time, so this one's going to actually go back to that baseline, that base point. So now I could actually do this kind of, so that you could actually see the other dimensions if you wanted to reference the same point. So it's kind of two different ways of doing the dimensions. If you're doing like a dimension string. Yes?
How do you do it without the decimals again?
So if you go into the dimension styles, which is actually going to be here now, right? Manage dimension styles, because we're on a different tab now. So if I go there, then I go into modify. Oh, that's on the wrong screen. And then I go to primary units, which is the 5th tab over. The precision here, I just set it to 0. There's more. The aligned. Is this aligned? Text angle. No. Where's aligned? In linear. Okay. So let's say, for instance, just let's say that I had So let's say, for instance, I had this angled wall, and I want to show the length of that wall, which I have no clue what it was because I just drew a line. Under linear here, and you're going to see angled. So you can simply take that. And then the other one is the angular, which they've added, which they didn't used to have. So you could actually see what the angle is of that. So that's all kind of hidden underneath the linear dimension. There's a lot. There is shortcuts to these, but they're long shortcuts. They're not like just simple one keystroke shortcuts like some of the other stuff. Like I think it's like dim lin, dim a, dim. Yeah. That one dim. Is it dim a? So yeah, dim alley and dim ang will give you the two different ones. So it's not really a shortcut when it's 6 or 7 characters long. But it's something that you may come in and set up like in your alias edit and your customization tools and stuff like that once you get into like an office, stuff like that. So is this layers? Yeah, okay. These, no. The jog line. So you can start modifying some of it, but I don't hardly ever use any of these tools, to be honest. But so let's say we had a quote-unquote circle somewhere in here. Matter of fact, I got 2 of them. So another part of annotation is creating a center line. Or in this case, it's a center mark. It will be created by your dimensions if you put if you do the radius or the diameter, it'll actually give you the center mark. But it is rather small. So a lot of times you want to actually annotate it with something that's a little cleaner. And then the center line here, so let's say, oops, let me do that, my bad. I meant to go this way. So it's actually creating a center line here that I could then dimension the center of that window off of a wall if I needed to. But why did it not show up? Because it's on layer 0. So you actually have to change the layers to have a center line. So we could do a center line. We could change to be red. And under default, or under the line type, if we load, and we go down to center, to the center line, which is a large dash, space, small dash, space, large dash, space, blah, 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 blah. I didn't do it again. Center. And then if I go ahead and I change this to be center line, does it? No. Paper, space, LT, scale, 0. Why is it not? There we go. This one's still not. Did I change? Why is it not showing up as a center line? Under center 2. That's why. I hit the wrong one. I went center. Still not showing up. That is confusing. It should show up as a center line. Don't know. Why would the center line not show up as a center line? Beats me. I don't know why it's not. The way that I would actually do it before is you could actually just create a line, call it the center line. See, it's still not showing. What in the world? Why is that? wonder if it's just so like. Wow, I just had to change it way smaller. Huh. Anyways, those are just some more annotation stuff, and then the multi-leader here. So if you are annotating, you may want to be in the annotate tab because some of the buttons are a lot more feasible and more quickly accessed than on the home tab where you have to constantly hit the down arrow to get a bunch of crap. Yes. No, go for it.
Another question on this. For that bean shaped thing at the bottom, I only find one point of reference for the bottom circle. For the top one, I can't find anything else to reference it to. For points on it.
It's there.
It's there?
That one is definitely there. So mine's layout 3. It doesn't matter if yours is layout 1 or 2 or 3. Again, we're just going to set up with WPDF. We're going to set up with monochrome. We're going to set up with 11 by 17. Everything else looks good. Close, close, and the viewport is going to go and extend past. Well, I'll show you how you guys how to make a viewport, huh? So if you don't have a viewport in there, simplest way is you click on this guy, you drop a viewport right in.
Wait, how?
Just up here in the rectangular viewport. So that's under the layout tab when you are in the layouts. There is other ones you could do polygonal. So if you wanted to do, oops, not object. I want to do polygonal. So I could make a funky looking layout. I don't know why you would. Every one that I've ever done has always been rectangular, but it could. It's a possibility.
Give you options.
Yeah, exactly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my title block. So I'm going to go find it real quick. Wow, it is slow pickings.
Do we put our type block in as well?
Sure. So what was it? -1/8, -1/8, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just going to leave the defaults on because I don't feel like going through them all. And then we're going to create a new viewport, and we're just going to click the box here where my drawing could be. So if I highlight the viewport, the bottom changes. So if I have it here, and I'm looking down here on the very bottom, so let me raise this up a little bit so you guys can see it. So I'm looking down here in this little area right here. Okay, so if I click on the viewport, you notice that I have this really, really funky number right here. That's actually the scale that the drawing's at currently. So if we go and we change it to, let's just say 1/2 inch equals a foot, you can see that my drawing actually zoomed itself, right? So what that's doing now is that is putting, making this drawing to an actual physical scale. So in the real world, when you print something for building, it's always to scale, right? Because if you miss a dimension, guess what? You can take a scale or even a ruler, if you know how to use that too, and you can actually scale that so you don't have to try to figure it out and like eyeball it, right? Scale, 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 right? So anyways, you could change it here. There's a bunch of different ones. They even have the engineering scales here first, and then it has architectural scales. So just depending on who you're working for or what you're doing, you know, even in architecture school, they'll use engineering scales for certain things. So your drawing should be to scale. Just remember that. Yeah? Drawing to scale. Side note, remember I said that I needed to check the scale of your drawing. It should be 1/4 inch equals a foot, not 1/8 like the drawing says. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Because otherwise it's going to be like half the size on your drawing. And you guys will be like, what the heck? Okay. So the project 1 drawing, the scale should be 1/4 inch equals 1 foot. Not 1/8 like my title block says. I'm going to change it right now. Bam. Okay. Okay. So that's kind of just some more information on the viewport and kind of inserting the title block into the viewport like we did last time. Just be careful because some of the printer settings that you have, like if you print at home or at work or at Staples, the margin around it may be a little different. That's why I always suggest going to PDF first, because PDF is going to be, unless you actually physically go and change it, it's going to be standard across most computers. So I'll always print something. Plus, it's your money when you're printing it, so make sure that it's right. You could look at it in a PDF, you'd be like, oh, I messed this up, I need to change it. You didn't waste any money by printing a PDF, so it's always nice. And in our world, everything works around emails and all that kind of stuff anyway, so you used to printing stuff to PDF anyways. So any questions about how to change the scale? Oh, and the other thing you could do, I should show. So if we have, let's say we had this viewport here, right? I could come in and I could add a second viewport. And then I could actually change this to be the scale something different. So I could do like 1.5. Yeah, so if like I had to show like a detail of the door a little more or whatever, you know. So you could, I mean, I've seen drawings where there's like 24 viewports on one. You know, if they have, you know, a lot of different structural details or whatever, you'll see it with a lot of different viewports on there. So you're not limited to one. Yeah. Oh, the other thing, so when we set up the line type scale in the drawing, remember we did LTS, it went 6 so that we could actually see the dashed line a little bigger than it being dashed. You notice in this drawing that the dashed line is not dashed, right? It's because paper space has its own line type scale. Yeah, you're really stupid, right? But they do that for a reason, because when you have the annotations on and stuff, like you want scales to be different. But the way to fix that is, the only shortcut and the only way I know how to do it is this way. So it's paper, space, L, T, and then the word scale. So you can see it's set to 1. You actually want to set it to 0. So basically what you set it to 0, you're turning it off. So you're telling the layout, don't use your own, use the global one. So it still hasn't done anything, right? So I actually have to redraw all. So RGA will regen all. Now I have a nice dashed line if I turn off the grid so you can see it. So that's the one way, because you'll see, yeah.
Or can you just go through it?
Sure. So if I go back, I don't have I guess you can't go undo that, right? So if I go paper space LT scale, and it's set to 1, so I set it to 0. REA, well, not RWA, REA will regen all, and then it'll come up.
Paper space and then.
No, it's PSLT scale. So it stands for paper space line type scale. LT scale. If you start typing PSLT, it'll probably pop up.
Okay.
But that's a way to get your dashed lines to work from one to the other, basically. Yeah.
Set it to 1.
Mm-mm.
I mean 0. Tone 1.
You're essentially just turning it off because it's like a binary, I think. So it's it's on or not. So it's 1 or 0. So let's say you're ready to print, right? So if we do, there's a little printer icon up in the top. You could type that. You could do Control P, or you could type plot. No, single sheet. Thank you. So when plotting, you're gonna see here that it brings the page setup manager back up, right? But if I modify it here, it's not gonna stay modified. If I modify it in page setup, it will stay modified. Unless I have this little button down here, save changes the layout. So if we go ahead and we do preview, you're gonna see that, I mean, you see your two drawings, and they came out in black and white because we have monochrome. So let's say you don't want to see the actual viewport lines. Quick trick, come in, put them on def points. You'll be able to see them in your CAD drawing, but if we actually print and we do a preview, you'll see that they don't actually show up now. So, because the def points, again, is a non-print layer automatically. Oh yeah, a little room with a lamp inside of it or something.
It's a hole.
Slide or pipe.
No, some artist made a big hole and somebody fell there.
At the top of the head? Yeah.
How do I move the annotations over?
Just with the move command. Yeah, you could just, or stretch command.
Oh, there. It's one whole block. So, right.
It's a whole block?
And the whole layout. The whole title block.
The title block?
It's one whole thing, yeah.
So you want to move, well, in the title block, again, you don't need the dimensions for your title block. I only had it on my drawing so that you guys would know what size.
My words aren't in the right spot.
Let me see. So that would be set up in the your blocks and your attributes and all that stuff could be found. So instead of in the home tab, it's under the insert. You can see you have a lot of different icons here that you don't necessarily have to hit the drop down menu for. So basically just the block, you know, you have the insert, the edit attribute, then here you're going to have the different attributes. You have the define, etc., etc., etc. We'll get into attach and clip and adjust. We'll do a site plan. So we don't necessarily need to do it here, but and it's basically an XREF, so you're referencing other drawings that you could use it to copy, not copy, but project. So yeah, there's another area that you could find to define the text. So home, insert, and annotate, kind of, you can see that you get further and further and further in depth into some of the commands. It's not all just found on the home tab.